Good morning, 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 everyone. Thank you all for joining the call this morning. I'm excited about today's call. I'd like to give a couple shout outs real quickly here this morning. First of all, I'd like to give Mr. Bree Clemens a hand because without him, we could not put all this together. So can we all give show him some love? Mr. Bree Clemens, thank you so much for doing so much for us. Appreciate you, sir. I'd like to give a shout out to Regional Director, Miss Boss Lady, Miss Natasha Ismail. Good morning, beautiful lady. How are you doing? Thank you so much. That beautiful smile. Hey, I'd like to thank the IBOs over in Japan that are joining us. Japan, thank you so much for joining us. Mrs. Sergio out in Mexico, thank you for joining us, sir. Thank you. Missed you this morning earlier. Mr. Al Randolph in Oakland, California. Good seeing you, sir. We have another regional director from Las Vegas, my dear friend, Mr. Brian Baker. Sir, how you doing out there? Let me see if I can see his smiling face. Let me pull it. There he is. There's that handsome young lad, strapping young lad out there in Las Vegas. Look at him. Okay, all right. Mr. Daryl Ranson in Nashville, thank you so much. Mr. Von Templeton, thank you so much in Memphis, Tennessee. Edmund Smith, God bless you. Good seeing you, sir. Miss Pat Robinson out there in Oakland, California. Yes, with Al Randolph in Oakland, too. Mr. Jordan Cease, thank you so much in Nashville. I missed you this morning. Miss Castro, Miss Natasha's going to get a hold of you. We've got some more scheduling for you, young lady, out there in Phoenix, Arizona. Thank you so much. Mr. Fernando, sir, thank you for joining the call today. Another regional director, Mr. Marvin Carter. Used to play basketball with the great Mr. Michael Jordan. You got to see the last man standing. I was looking for you in that video, my friend. Regional director out there in Fresno, California. Mr. Ryan Swallow, Sacramento, California, part of the bakery organization. Tracy Gilmore, part of the bakery organization. Miss Val out there, congratulations. Frank and Patricia Bowman out there in Elk Grove, California, south of Sacramento. Miss Robinson, thank you. Mr. Robinson, excuse me, Andre. And Andre, thank you so much for joining the call today. Listen, we got a great call lined up today, and we're hoping, I think he's on the call. We got a young man that helps. He's on. Okay, thank you, Mr. Tasha Ismail. We got a young man that hails from the Southern California area, down in the San Diego area. He's done a fantastic job. Him and his brother's also in the business. He's built a large organization down in San Diego, not only in San Diego, but he's got a pretty good organization around the country. And what I'd like to do, first of all, Mr. Bree Clemens, are we ready for the, where's Mr. Julian Lewis? Let's see, is he out there? It's, I'm looking for him on here. I'm looking. Mr. Bill Bailey. Oh, there he is. Mr. Bill Bailey, sir. Congratulations. Good seeing you on the call. All right. We got something we want to do. Real quickly here. Are we ready? All right. Put it up on the screen, sir. Our guest speaker today hails from San Diego, California. He's a regional director. He's done an outstanding job. And we're so fired to have him on the call today. He had a birthday yesterday. So we'd all like to sing happy birthday, Mr. Julian Lewis. Can we sing happy birthday? Count of three. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Ooh, ooh. Happy birthday to you. Ooh, 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 ooh. Happy birthday, Mr. Julian Lewis. Happy birthday to you. May God bless you with more on channel 44. Let's give him a hand. Happy birthday, Mr. Lewis. Happy birthday,
you,
sir.
Thank you very much.
Sir, it's all your call. We just want
to. Okay. Well, first of all, I want to thank you for that. That was a surprise. I'm very excited to be on today's video conference. I want to let you guys know that yesterday was amazing. For those of you that don't know, yesterday was my 40th birthday. So I'm excited about that as well, because if you take a look at Mr. Thomas, he doesn't age. And I stopped aging once I went full-time in ACN. And so if you would like to stop aging or reverse aging, you want to go full-time ASAP. Okay. Now, I'm not saying to quit your job. So Mr. Thomas, I didn't say that. What I'm saying is as soon as you can. And I'm joking, but I'm kind of not. And I want to explain that, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. But before I do, just to give you a brief background on myself, let you know, I met Mr. Thomas when I was brand new in this business. And I had heard about him before I met him. And I listened to audios. This is old school. So there was no I listened to you on an audio, and I remember it was a audio about a dog sitting on the porch on a nail. And that's how I was introduced to Mr. Thomas. And I couldn't wait to meet him. I remember I had to work hard to get into this leadership, and it was on top of the Omni Hotel in San Diego. Ashlyn, I know you know what I'm talking about, sir. It was the penthouse on top of the Omni. It was the Metropolitan, and on top of the Omni, the condos you could only purchase if you were in a certain bracket financially. And my mentor was there. He was the youngest person in that particular complex, and he was the only African American. And so what was so exciting was being able to be there and witness a leadership with someone that looked like me, who was wealthy, and he was willing to give his knowledge. And all I had to do is work hard to get into that leadership. And so I got there. I listened to Mr. Thomas, and he's talking about a method of operation, daily method of operation. And he broke it down so simple. And I remember hearing how many people he had helped in this business. And I couldn't believe at first, because I was from an engineering background, I said, it can't be that simple. And the reason why is because I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, but in corporate America, for me, I was conditioned where the only way you make a lot of money is if it's complicated. I hope you catch that. So everything I had to do, I had more responsibility. It was more complicated. It didn't make sense, but the paychecks were coming. I was salaried. So when Mr. Thomas explained his daily method of operation, I was so excited. It was refreshing to see that wealthy people got wealthy because they kept things simple. And so I took so many notes that day, and it helped me get into top production. It helped me to replace my income. It allowed me to come home to my family, because I was working 80 to 90 hours a week at my job. All right. I was taking an average of 50 to 60 flights a year. And you may think, or you may feel, if you're in this business part-time right now, that that's a lot of hours to work and then work your business. Here was my perspective. I was grateful to be able to work this business after working those crazy hours. See, because those crazy hours that I was working at my job, they didn't make me want to do ACN less. Oftentimes I meet people in ACN that complain about the hours they have to work at their job as an excuse as to why they're not doing ACN. And it's mind-boggling to me, because if you think about it, it would make me want to do it more. Every time that I got home tired, every time I went to the hotel exhausted, every time I pulled into my car or pulled into my garage and I couldn't make it out of the car because I was so tired, and I slept right there in the driveway, it made me want to do ACN more. So as we get into this, I just want you to know that I've been home for 14 years. My daughter's 14 years old. And I chose that because I felt that we deserve more, and I was willing to work harder. And as we talk about what's going on in this world, Mr. Thomas, I had a conversation with my daughter. It was actually pretty amazing because her mom chimed in. We were talking, and we were just talking about what's going on in the world today. We were talking about how that relates to her. And I said, because we have these cameras, these phones that can, and I'm seeing all of your faces now because of technology. A lot of the things that myself, Mr. Thomas, Mr. Baker, a lot of the things that we've dealt with, conversations that we've had, are now starting to be, exposed because of the media. And so I had a conversation with my daughter, and I said, listen, my father taught me something, and I want to share it with you. And I want to share it with all of you out of love. He said, I was so angry. I moved from Hawaii at 7 years old, and I moved to San Diego. And if you know about Hawaii, everyone is basically brown. You don't know what anything is, it's just brown. All right. So I had friends that were brown from every different ethnicity, different shades. I didn't even know what race was. I just knew that my friend Jimmy was this color. My friend John, Jason was this color. It didn't matter. Right? We didn't know. We just described it as that person. And I remember coming to San Diego, and my father, he was a high-ranking officer, and the real estate agent took him over to an area where all the military are. And my father said, "Why are we in this area?" And she said, "Well, that's because this is where the military is." He said, "I didn't ask you to take me where the military is. I asked you to take me where the best school district was." Okay. My father grew up in the projects of Brooklyn, New York. He got out, hard work, but he had a difference of perspective. And I want to share that with you because it ties in. And you at the end, you'll know this is about ACN, but I want you to understand that the real estate agent took us to the best school district. And in the best school district, I didn't see anyone that looked like me. And as I got older, it was okay at first, but as I got older, I got frustrated. And I asked my father, I asked my father, why it's harder? Why are we here? And he said, because the higher up you go in this nation, the more it looks like this. And he said, I'm helping you to become stronger than they are so that you can go further than they can. I need you to understand that, all of you, because I see so many different, beautiful people in front of me, and I have it on the grid view so that I can see all of you. And I need you to understand that when you're in ACN, you need to work 10 times harder if you're busier, because it needs to be harder for you now so that you can go further than anyone else can go. See, you won't have the staying power if it's easy. Number one. Number two, I've never, ever appreciated anything that came easy to me. I don't know about you, but anything that was given to me, anything that I felt I did easily, I didn't appreciate. I did well in school, but it wasn't hard for me. So I didn't appreciate it. So I just barely did well. I didn't give it my very best. There's a gentleman by the name of Art Williams that talks about it. And he started a company and helped to actually mentor one of the owners of our company. And he said, you always want to give it your very best. And I need to share that too with you, because a lot of times we say we'll try. Try doesn't exist in my family vocabulary. My girlfriend was at my mom's house, and my daughter was there, and she knows how crazy I am. And so my daughter says, well, I'll try. And immediately my mom says, either you're going to do it or you're not, but there is no try. So for all of you that are trying to do ACN right now, it's not going to work. I love you, and I'm sharing it with you because I think you deserve to know the truth. If you're trying ACN, it's not going to work. It's like trying to lose weight. It's not going to work. You either draw a line in the sand. I remember Mr. Thomas said, I'm going SVP. He didn't try to go SVP. He made a decision. It wasn't about the numbers. It wasn't about where he was in his position. It wasn't about his production. It was about the decision that I'm going there. And once you've committed to what you're doing, you do it until you get it done. And the other thing is, don't worry about everyone else. I'll tell you how many times, Mr. Thomas, I've had people say, so when are you going RVP? When are you going SVP? When are you going this? And a lot of times they don't realize, and we don't really talk about money, but Mr. Thomas is my upline. He's seen the amounts of money that I've made in this company. And so Ashland, he's my upline. He's seen my organization. He sees the downline. He knows how much money. And what I want to ask you is, what position are you going to hit? How much money are you going to make? Are you worried about your upline? Are you worried about your sideline? If you care about your downline, then you want to make money. One thing I can tell you is my upline to Mr. Thomas is like brothers who fight sometimes, and I love them to death. But when you look at my uplines, I know Mr. Nakota Bragg. I've seen the money. There's no way I couldn't say this doesn't work. There's no way I could say it doesn't work because he decided to make money. It had nothing to do with me. It had everything to do with him. It had nothing to do with Mr. Thomas. It had everything to do with his decision to be a leader. You all are blessed because you have Mr. Thomas as a servant leader, that to plug into something like this, an environment where, because of what he's built helping others, he's able to get people on here to pour into you on a daily basis. All I can tell you is, if you respect that man that much, you need to go out there and win. You need to go out there and win. See, I messaged him something and last month, and I told him I'm closing it out, and it has nothing to do with ACN. It has nothing to do with Mr. Thomas. I respect him and I love him, but it's a decision I made for me and my family. It has nothing to do with the money, because we can make money so many different ways. When you learn how amazing you are, money will come. You'll attract it. It happens all the time. But it's a decision I made for my daughter, because I always tell her to see everything through. So when you start thinking about your business, really go inside and start thinking about you. How many of you, by a show of hands, truly believe you deserve it? Okay. If you truly believe you deserve it, you'll go out there and get it done. But if you deserve it, I'm going to get really deep right now, and I don't want to make you feel uncomfortable, but I kind of do. Okay. I saw you raise your hands, but you don't really believe you deserve it if you don't love yourself. Okay. I'm not going to ask you if you love yourself. I'm not going to have you raise your hand, because everyone will, just because it's an uncomfortable topic. But I need you to start loving yourself more, because if you don't love yourself, you won't go out and make it happen. If you don't love yourself, you won't be presentable during the day, just because we're in quarantine. What I'm trying to tell you is, if you don't love yourself, you won't function in a manner that will attract success and wealth into your life. It won't happen. And the scary thing is, a lot of us don't love ourselves for crazy reasons. See, what we'll do, and we all have this self-talk. How many people on here, be honest with me, have ever beat themselves up verbally, but no one could hear you because it was all in your head? Okay. I want you to think about the most recent, butt whooping you just gave yourself verbally. Now, if you have kids, how many of you would be in prison right now if you found out the teacher was talking to your children that way? Yeah. Now, why am I telling you this? Because you're still that same child. See, our bodies age, but our souls are timeless. You're still that same child. And what's scary is we've separated ourselves within, and we verbally abuse the child. And this is why this is so scary. That child has guided you through tough times. That child has seen struggle. That child has seen abuse. That child has seen so many rough things and overcome those things, or you wouldn't be where you are as an adult today. And that child deserves for your love, and it also deserves your respect. And until you can see what I'm seeing and treat who you are inside like you would treat your own child. See, we'll beat up ourselves because we don't reach a goal. But what if it was your child? If it was your child, you would break it down and you would see, okay, you did great here. You did great here. You made a mistake here. You did amazing here. And that's why I know you still can. See, isn't it funny that when it comes to other people or when it comes to our kids, we know that constructive criticism is great, but you have to show where you did well. But when it comes to us, we'll just keep beating ourselves up until there's nothing left. And what I found in common with all the winners, whether you love them or hate them, there are some people that win you don't like. There are some people that you win that you love. There are people that are extremely upset about the leadership in our country today. But you know what those leaders have in common? You know what every single one of them? They feel they deserve it. And it's associated with loving yourself. Accept yourself for your flaws. Accept yourself for who you are. Because the reality is you can never become great if you don't start with the truth. See, if you start with a lie, you'll never know where your foundation starts. You won't know where it is. And if you don't know where it is, then you don't know where you need to go. See, I talk about fitness a lot because those of you that know me for years, Brian, Ashlyn, you guys have known me forever. And, you know, I was a lot bigger, but my nutrition and fitness isn't what changed. It was the decision to love myself. And when you love yourself, you start to eat healthy. Why? Because you want to see yourself live. When you love yourself, you get fit and you do the hard things. You know how I know? You know how I know for sure? It's because I wouldn't have gone full time as fast as I did in ACN had it not been for being able to be in the room and watch my daughter be born and fall in love immediately. See, it was the love that I have for my daughter that allowed me to work 80 to 90 hours a week at my job, but then go and work ACN and be exhausted and be up to 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning in Dakota's penthouse when it was just him and I before I introduced him to Monica. Then it was 3. But I was exhausted. But all I could think about is, you're stealing from your daughter right now and she can't even protest. So it was love that pushed me past exhaustion. And it's love that is the only thing that you and I as human beings can experience that transcends time and space. See, if you don't really start to get that everything in this world heals through love. I know the Japanese scientist that did the study on the water, and he froze water that was yelled at, and then he froze water that was treated with kind words, and the molecular structure all the way down to that point was different. It was jagged and hard. The ones that were yelled at and the ones that were given love, it was beautiful. And I'm trying to tell you guys, it's ironic that as human beings, we can understand beauty in nature, but when we look at it in our own selves and in our own race, we, as a human race, we see it as something bad. See, because when I see a rose or I see a sunflower, I see beauty. I don't see that the sunflower is ugly because it doesn't look like a rose. I don't see that a bird is ugly because it doesn't look like a dog, but we see beauty in the diversity. And when you start to love who you are comes out, and it becomes attractive to other people, not because they want to be like you. That's a misunderstanding of someone that doesn't know themselves. See, the reason why they're attracted to who you are is because they see you being who you are unapologetically. And when you decide to love yourself, you can't help but attract other people. See, as a Christian, what I find interesting is that Jesus, all he had to say is, you follow me. Imagine how many people would be in your team if you could just say, you follow me, and everyone followed. See, what's funny is the reason he was able to say, you follow me, and they followed is because he knew who he was. And it was who he was being that attracted them to follow. There was something different. If you read the scriptures, if you read anyone that had an account of being around him, they would tell you that there was something different. They felt different around him. They knew that. They knew it. It wasn't a question because of who he was being. And so when you really start to realize that you are connected with the divine more than you actually know, and you start to love who you are, and you start to do that from the inside, it projects outside. The fitness, the nutrition, all that is on the outside is just a projection of what's going on the inside. You know, I had a talk, Mr. Thomas, with one of the guys I used to work with when I first started in ACN. And he said, brother, what is going on? You look younger. Like, what are you reverse engine? Like, what are you doing? And I said, I'm around good people. And I decided to start loving myself. So as we look out into the world right now, a lot of people are afraid. A lot of people in ACN are afraid because we have light and we want to share it with people. And it's hard to think about sharing it with people when so many people are angry right now. But here's what I do know. Anger never builds anything that lasts. So come with a difference of perspective. Come with a different opinion. Come wanting to build, make a decision. There are people out there, as I know California opens up, there are business owners that you haven't seen in a while. I know for me, everyone knows me, I go to Starbucks, right? There are baristas that I haven't seen in a while. And I see them with their masks on and we talk and it's exciting to see them. And I don't know if this has happened to you, but when I see them, we're excited and then there's a pause. It's like there's a wait. And I can see in their eyes that they're hurting. It's time to reach out. See, we're not going to free people until they free their minds. And if it wasn't for people like Mr. Thomas, if it wasn't for people like Dakota Bragg in the beginning, I would have believed my free thinking was a delusion. And so if it's not for people like you who decide to speak up, there are going to be a lot of people who don't understand or who won't be able to appreciate freedom. It's going to take hard work, guys. But what else are we going to do while we're here? You don't get to leave with it. So why not leave a mark so that everyone that comes in contact with you can say, I don't know, there's something about them, but when I'm around them, I feel different. They make me want to build. Because you will have success in ACN and everything you do, but it will stem from the love that you have inside that you're projecting out, that people are gravitating to. And they're going to want to associate and be more like you. And that's really what we need in the world right now. So, Mr. Thomas, ACN is ACN. We get customers, we get business partners. But when you change who you decide to be inside, none of that matters because people will run with you wherever you go. So I appreciate you, sir. I love you to death. I love when you have great news for me, and I love when you tell me the hard things I need to learn. And if it wasn't for you, I know I wouldn't be where I'm at today. So thank you for everything that you do for me and for the entire organization.
You're very welcome, sir. And you know what? A lot of people can't take tough love because it's so fragile, and not just because of the situation we're in today, but the tough love has gotten you where you are, and the tough love has got your upline where he is. And I continue being who I am because that's what I am here for, is to help to create. And also, the good man the good Lord put me on this earth to be a helpmate, to help people and to serve. So thank you so much for your call today. Thank you so much for your insight. Thank you for coming across on the heartfelt side of the business and letting people know it's okay to love themselves, because it starts with loving you. You can't love anybody else if you don't love yourself. So can we give Mr. Julian Lewis a hand today right now? That was amazing.
Thank you,
and once again, I will give a shout out to all the regional directors out there, Mr. Tasha Ismail in Fresno. I'd like to thank all our friends in Japan that are on the call today from Japan. Thank you so much. Mr. Sergio and his group in Mexico that are on the day. I see you guys on there from Mexico. Thank you so much. We also have Regional Director, Mr. Brian Baker, on from Las Vegas. Once again, all our regional directors, thank you. Mr. Marvin Carter from Fresno, Regional Director, thank you. Ms. Evelyn, thank you so much for joining from Fresno. Thank you, Regional Director. Ms. Rose Guerrero out of Fresno as well. Thank you so much. Mr. Curtis Evans snuck on here later, Regional Director from South Carolina. Hey, tonight at 6 o'clock p.m., I will be back at 6 o'clock p.m. tonight, Pacific Coast time, to do the 1 through 10 and a quick start tonight. So get guests on tonight. That's right. Tomorrow morning's conference call, it's yours truly. We're going to take a trip down to the Bahamas. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's going to be a fun day tomorrow. Tomorrow's going to be a real fun day, a real fun day. Next Tuesday, everybody say next Tuesday. One more time. Next Tuesday, yes, I've got my dear friend, one of the guys I've trained to be a millionaire, Beach Money, will be with us. My dear friend Jordan Adler will be on there with us next Tuesday. Yes, he'll be coming on the call next Tuesday. I was up at the cabin. There's a cabin up here out of Vegas, and he has a place on the Strip. He's got a place in Jerome. He's got 3-4 homes he live between. And he'll be our special guest speaker. So mark your calendar next Tuesday, all you guests. And in the book, right over here, Al Thomas, being one of the most influential figures in my life and for teaching me the ropes about business over an occasional cigar. Yes, he'll be with us next Tuesday morning. So mark your calendar, mark your calendar. Wow. All this is wonderful. This is wonderful. This is wonderful. Hey, once again, I'll see everybody tonight at 6 o'clock. And once again, can we give Mr. Julian Lewis another hand for a great, great call today? Very timely call, I might add. And that's why he's where he's at. God bless everybody. Be safe. Get out there, get some customers and names, get them in the service. And we'll see everybody tonight at 6 o'clock p.m. right back here. And don't forget Friday night happy hour at 6 o'clock. All right. Goodbye, everybody. God bless. Be safe.